Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Implant Studio training to supported case. And I wanted to show you how to do single implant placement and surgical guides. And you could see right now that we have our three-shape Unite software, and I wanted to show you how to create a new patient. Right now we do have the main page, and you could see we have patients, cases, calendar, and more. And since we are on the patients, we will create a new patient, like click a new patient, and I will type this patient's name. It's gonna be like training something like this. Also, we need to provide date of birth and email or comments about this patient, and we will save this patient. Click save, and you could see that we have already we have this patient, but we don't have any case. So we will create the new case. Click new case, and since we will work with Implant Studio, we could pick up the Implant Studio here, but also we could use just studios to open any studios activated on that dongle. And let's choose that one. It will allow me to create a case not only with Implant Studio, but also you could see on the left side of my case setup screen, we have appliances, we have bridges, we have single units. So since we are working on the implant planning, we will choose the implant planning, click on, and it will ask me to choose the jaw. And I will choose choose number 8, for example. And you could see it's highlighting the whole upper jaw bench of the teeth. And this is just because we are choosing jaw. And also we are going to guide workflow. And in this new update, you could see we have options, the planning only or tooth supported case, which is our case right now. Also we could run with the bone supported case or dual scan protocol, and the couple more like dual scan protocol and bond supported cases probably gonna be shown in my next videos, but today we will work with two supported case. Click on two supported, and software is asking to select implants. So I will choose, for example, two implants, number 8 and number 9, and there are supposed to be just two single implants. So if we need the virtual crown to be placed, kind of the virtual waxup, we could we could do it also. We are going to add virtual crowns. Click virtual crowns there. Just add them here. You could see them as a tooth 8 and 9 shown there. And after that, what we need to do, we need to click save. This is really important, because if you don't click save, you will lose your indications, and the software will have no idea what to do with that. So click save. Yeah, right now we have it here, and you could see software just suggested me on the top of my screen that I could either scan this case, this patient with by trios, or I could go to import scans. This is what exactly what I wanted to do right now. Okay, so let's go to scan import. But before so, I wanted to pay attention that we have about the same option here on the right side of the screen. You could see on the bottom on the right side, we have view and import. Import means scans or any data to be added here. Also, if we have any pre-preparation scans or scans with old constructions with temporaries, we could add it here as well. So let's click on that scan import button and wait a bit. After that, software is asking me to import scans, and you could see the import upper surface scan. I'm just clicking on, and I'm going to my oven scans, my trios scans I do have. Here, let me go to regional surface scans. I will choose the upper trios scan and open. And also I will add my lower surface scan, which is optional actually, but it's better to have such kind of antagonist like this. And also we need to import the patient's CT scan. Let's click on that, and I do have it somewhere here, as far as I remember. And we are choosing one of multiple slices and the files of the DICOM scan. And we don't need to choose all of them. We need just to click one, any of them, and click open, and the rest of the scans, they gonna be uploaded automatically. Yeah, and you could see my CBCT scan is here, and I need to confirm it. And in my case, in my data, CBCT data, I do have this one file haven't been not loaded into because on some error happening with that slice, with that file. So if it's only one file, it's pretty much acceptable. But if it's like more than 10 or 12, 20 files, it's better to take another DICOM. So I do have my CBCT data here, and I am ready to go to the next step. So we are going to the next, and this is the preparation of tooth removals step. And I wanted to show you how to virtually remove my two teeth. For example, if you're talking about immediate placement of implants after the extraction, so this is the good example how to do it. So I wanted to remove tooth number 8, so I am clicking to this green on this green plus to add the spline, and this is the way how I could add the spline all around the one tooth. Tooth number 8. And connect the last point with the first one. And you could see that no tooth 8 anymore in this scan. I could do correction of my spline to make more natural extraction. Usually it's taken a bit more than just neck position, and this is the reason why I'm putting it a bit down, a bit deeper than just neck position all over. So this is the way how we could extract the tooth. And if you pay attention to this green point, you could move down the socket to imitate extraction. So it could be done like this. Also, since we have the two teeth to be extracted, I could either add one more spline all around the tooth, or what is much better in this case, when we have two teeth nearby, I could use one spline to cut two teeth at the same time. So I wanted to redraw this spline like this. To have two teeth extracted at the same time. And if I need correction of the spline, I could do it clicking near the new position. Okay. Okay, so we've done with the virtual extraction. We've shaped our sockets, extraction sockets, and we are ready to go to the next step, which is occlusal plane, and we should follow instructions here. Click on the tooth position number 8, and it's supposed to be somewhere here. And you could see the software just define it where the occlusal plane should be, and I could do correction if I need. Probably I should rotate it a bit like this, and in the buccal perspective, the buccal view, I should tilt it a bit as well. Okay, if it's so deep, I could drop it down a bit. So this is the occlusal plane placed, and we are ready to go to virtual setup. So you could see suggestion of teas coming from the software, and looks like they are not ideal. So I will use so-called artificial intelligence and click on that and click on the tools or the other tools, for example. And you could see the message that AI is not available. So I will use just the transformation tool to adjust the teeth. If I need to change the shape of the teeth, I do have the teeth library here, the smile library so-called, and I could choose which shape of the tooth is much more better for my case. So I could be on this shape, or I could switch to some other libraries here. And this Matt Roberts shape of the teeth is much better in my case, so I wanted to keep that one, and I will do the transformation tooth by tooth. I will pick up the tooth and probably move it a bit up, and I could make it wider a bit. The same for the tooth number 9. Yeah, tilt it out. And probably they are so narrow, we could either make them contact like this, like tilting them a bit. Also, I could extend it with the green points. So let's say this is the good wax up for me, and I am ready to use, we could use any other tools here, like morphing tool, and you could see I could morph the teeth with the edges, and I could morph it just picking up the surface, and I could use my best friend undo to bring me back. Also, I could use the wax knife to add remove smooth material here over the surface if I need. But again, the teeth, the virtual teeth are here just to do prosthetic driven implant placement. We are not going to design the final construction or temporaries right now. We are talking only about orientation or reference to place implants. So let's say this is the good one, and we are just hitting next to come to the some preparation steps. This is the cropping step, and we could crop our CBCT data, and since we are working only over the upper jaw, I don't need so much information over the lower jaw. I will pick up the blue points and I will rise it up to cut my lower jaw teeth and have them out of the data. So this is the way how we could crop it, and pay attention to this green area. If it's green, it's good enough, and you have really good computer and performance and capacity of your memory of this computer to work with this size of the data. If this area is not green but yellow or orange or even red, it means that it's not enough performance of your computer to handle with this case. So after the cropping, We are going to the next step and come into panoramic curve. You could see that automatically software just defined this panoramic curve. What we could do here, we could just raise up a bit this plane, the panoramic plane. Usually we are placing it somewhere on the neck position of the teeth. Intersection, yeah, something like this. But since we are working on the anteriors, probably we need to change it a bit, the angle of that. And you could see we need to place the curve in somewhere on the middle of that position of the teeth. And we could just move points all around to have it much better. Okay, let's say this is the good enough, and yeah, and we could go to the next step. And here we are with alignment of our surface scan with CBCT scan. And we do have the initial alignment. We have the two different options here. We could align to pre-preparation scan or align to real scan, the preparation scan. And we could choose either a first one or the second one. In our case, is the same scan. So the difference is only that we have the teeth extracted here. So I will just take away that one and I will use the 3-point alignment to show how to do alignment of CBCT scan, and the surface scan. And also make sure that you have enough surface of the teeth, not cropped over the cropping step. And let's place the surface scan and CBCT scan more or less in the same position and use this really nice tool, lock views. Click on, and right now you could manipulate two scans at the same time. And I will use the 3-point alignment like this canine to canine, and also it could be like lateral to lateral, and again canine and canine. And you could see a result of that alignment. You could see that almost everything is green. Only in some areas like this we have some discrepancy, but probably this is because my CBCT scan and surface scan, they were taken in different time, and so probably I have a bit different position of the soft tissue here in this area. So we do have it in green, so we could go to confirmation and check this box, confirm alignment. After the confirmation, we could go to the next step. It's no way how to do it without confirmation. Okay, so we'll confirm it our alignment, and we're going to have implant placement right now. Yeah. So here we are. I will use some tools here on the right side of the screen to make translucent my CBCT scan and surface scan, as well as my waxups. So they are here. And my waxups are working just for as orientation. And you could see they are highlighted here on the panoramic view. If you switch off them, fully switch them off over the slider, they will disappear from both, from left, from the 3D scan and from the left window here. But I'd like to keep it on the midway. and I wanted to add implants to the case. So I am clicking on the overview map on the tooth number 8, the green plus here, and my list of implant manufacturers is here. And I will scroll it up, down to pick up which implant I wanted to place. And for example, we could talk about like, okay, let's choose, for example, Hyosin. Click on Hyosin, and there are some Hyosin implants here. Chosen, and for example, I wanted to use the very first type. Click on, and I could choose which implant I wanted to use with the sizes of with diameters and lengths of implants. So I will choose, for example, a regular 4.0 10 millimeters implant. Click on. You could see the information about this implant, and we could close that one. This implant has been placed automatically according to my tooth position, the waxup position. And you could see it's already here. And insertion direction for this implant is driven by my waxup. So I wanted to extend this one, and probably I need to do correction, probably not. You could see the placement is pretty good. I could do manipulation anyway. With the red points, I could tilt it out a bit or in, like this, for example, and this is the rotation about around apex, and I could do rotation about around neck as well. This green point is extension to my next level or next length of this implant. I could use even the 13, number 13 implant, since I do have plenty of bone here. And since this is the immediate placement, probably we need to do the grafting here because the root is pretty close to the cortical bone here in this area. And also I could minimize this window and go to the next one to see where my implant gonna be placed at, and it looks pretty cool here, pretty decent. And let me see, probably I could exchange this implant even to the wider one from 4.0 to 4.5. Let's go to this implant and change it to the 4.5. So right now we have 4.5 diameter of the implant, and it looks like even that one could work in that case. So the placement is more or less done, and probably we need to change a bit. Yeah, okay. It looks like everything is good. And let's add one more implant. Click on this green plus again, and it's supposed to be about the same implant, and we could add it, and you could see it was added automatically according to the waxup done before, designed before. So if I need to adjust it a bit because the screw hole is coming down a bit facially, so I wanted to rotate my implant a bit to avoid my screw hole over the incisal edge. So my screw hole right now is coming down through the palatal lingual surface of the crown. Okay, so let's see on the 3D view. You could see they are more or less parallel. And what could I do? I could use this the implant measurement tools, and I could activate the distance between two implants, and I could do the measurement of the angulation between them, and you could see they are almost parallel. It's less than 2 degrees angulation between two implants, and also this is the distance, the closest distance to the soft tissue in that level. So I could just choose which measurement I wanted to use. Also, I could use the sleeves here. I could select the sleeves from manufacturer, from Hyoson in our case, and it's supposed to be a fully guided sleeve here. But also I could switch to any other 3D third-party sleeves, or use the highs, and you could see the less open sleeves, closed, open, and the current one is the open one, but also we could use the sleeve open like this, and we could use, for example, this sleeve or this one. Yeah, let's use the 5 mm height. Okay, so let's click on that implant as well, and if we need to change sleeve, we could do it with that sleeve as well. So we were working on that one, for example. Yeah. So when we are on the 3D view, we have this green point over the sleeve, and while you're holding your cursor over the green point, you could see the distance from the top of the sleeve to the neck of the implant. So this is the way we could figure it out how deep we need to use, or how long tools, the drilling tools we need to use. So we have the 13 millimeter implant plus 10.5 millimeter length of the drill. We have 23.5 millimeters, and probably we need to use the drill highest and drill 24 millimeters length, since we need to have the handle thickness to be added here. Okay, and after the sleeves, we do have the option to do the grouping of implants together. Click on, and we could choose which implant we want to have a main and which one we want to have driven. And click group implants, and they supposed to be parallel to each other, and it will help us, especially if we need the bridges to be placed over the abutments in our case. Okay, we could keep them parallel, and when we have them parallelized, we could tilt them together at the same time. Okay, so after the implant placement, we are ready to, yeah, a couple more tools are here on the right side. We have really nice tools like the sliders here, like we could use the waxup, you could see, and waxup means just scan before virtual extraction. Also, there are our crowns. We could take away crowns, we could take away sleeves and use the generic abutment, so-called. And you could see I could rise up the generic abutment to see where the screw hole is supposed to be. And if angulation of my screw hole is not good enough, for example, here I have the good enough, but if it's not good enough, I could tilt it according to the multi-unit angulation, for example, 17 degrees, and my screw hole supposed to be somewhere here. In comparison with the other two, with the other tools where we have the straight up the screw hole. So this is a really nice tool if you need to calculate what kind of abutment you need to use. So let's go to the drill cylinder. You could see the drill cylinder is pretty wide here because we have the 4.5 millimeter implants here. This is the density map, and it's pretty cool tool as well, because if we use this density map all around the implant, we could figure it out the density, the bone density all around the implant to be placed. But since it's immediate placement, since we have the root of tooth here, we could see that it's probably gonna be less informative for us because of it's touching the root surface, not the bone surface. Only on the bottom, on the apical area, in the apical area of this implant, we could see some density map showing more or less really, yeah, in reality. So let's go to the next step. And next step is supposed to be our surgical guide. And we will use the tools here to minimize the holder of the surgical guide, of the sleeves here with the green points here. We could extend it or minimize it. And also what we need to take care about is machine and material. We could click on to choose ASIGA Max UV printer or any other printers here, as well as the material or resin to be used for this surgical guide. I'd recommend to use ASIGA and Whipmax Very Guide OS material, but it's up to you. And when you've chosen that one, the parameters, the printing parameters, they're gonna be applied automatically. You could see they are shown here with the minimum thickness, with the offsets of the sleeve and surface, as well as the retention is here. So right now we need to add the guide outline. So I will do the two outlines, two shells. One is on the left, one is on the right. And usually we are talking about like 3 teeth on each side, and in this case, to have guide shell for the better stability. And if we need to do correction, we could do correction, just drawing it and placing it in the correct position. This gray area is the undercut area, so we could either place it over or not, but in any way, it's supposed to be blocked out automatically by the software. Okay, when we're done with the one side, I will click plus again to add one more shell all around the other side of this arch. And do correction of the spline if you need. Okay, let's say the shells are good. And also if we need to change insertion direction, we do have this option with the front view, from view, and we could place it like this and click on, and it's gonna be recalculated according to the position of this scan over the screen. So we have the sleeve parameters and options here. We could add the orientation marks and glue channels. This is what I'd recommend to have for both of sleeves here. Just click to add them, and you could see this is the glue channel place it through, and when we will place the sleeve inside of this guide, we could have this hole, the glue hole, to keep our sleeve in. So this is the way how it could work, as well as the marks. They're gonna be shown pretty soon, but actually the Hyoson system, they do have the marks even over the sleeves. So this is really useful and helpful in our case. Okay, we have the orientation marks here. And anytime if we wanted to switch to some other sleeves, we could click on the sleeve here and change the fully guided Hyoson sleeve to any other Hyoson sleeve or any other third-party sleeves from the list here. So let's go to the next substep, which is bars and windows. And I wanted to make my guide much stronger. So I will click on this plus and add the support bar. And I'd recommend to add it like this way, just because we have the distal area to be a bit flexible. So I wanted to put it in a bit and have the nice bar to be placed here to add stability this guide all over this arch. So we have at least 3-point or even 4-point stability on the lateral. The last point is on the bicuspid on the opposite side, and the lateral here, and probably somewhere on the middle over the canines. So when I've placed it, my guide gonna be much stronger in this area, and probably I need to add a bit more a bit more material to prevent to make it stronger in the front. So I will add a round bar and just add it somewhere here, and I could expand it like this. And do rotation and put inside a bit. And no worries about covering some holes or marks, because they gonna be calculated and subtracted by sleeves and parameters. So this is the way how to make it stronger, as well as we could add some observation windows, like viewing windows. And this is really a nice feature as well, because we could check position of our guide over the patient mouse to make sure that the guide is positioned in the patient mouse properly. So this is the way how we could work with that. And let's just wait a bit while the software will calculate everything and show us the final result of this step. Yeah, you could see we have it done. If you need to do correction, like in this case, I could just click on that and extend it a bit more to make sure that I have enough surface. But keep in mind that the more windows you have, or deeper you have them, it could make your guide weaker in this particular uh, area. So don't make it much more than it's needed. By the way, here in this case, you could see we have this lateral tooth sticking out a bit, so it could be also helpful for us to figure it out, are we on the proper position with our guide or not. Yeah. And after that, we are going to the next step, which is the ID tag. And I wanted to click on this plus and add the patient's name or whatever you need to place. And usually I'm placing it on this bar. It's a really good place to add it. So if I need it, but also I could skip this sub step and go to the next step. So hit next. Okay. And next one is the documentation. It's the paperwork we need to go through. And for example, here you could see the show surgical report. When I click on the show surgical report, it will open the PDF file. Here we are with the PDF file, and you could see its information about this file, this case for approval by oral surgeon or by responsible doctor who is responsible for placement. And you could see the screenshots and information about each implant we have placed. So we have the density map much more useful here because we do have the legend here to see the density levels all around in different colors here. So here we are with the second implant, and what we could do, we could either save it or print it out and sign it to approve. So after the approval, we should check this box, approve planning. And keep in mind that after the approving planning in the software, it's no way how to make any changes of the position of implant after that. So after the approval, no way how to change it, only making copy without the approval. Click yes here. And you could see on this workflow bar that we have implant planning for observation only. We could only look at that, but not make any changes. And we should do the same to approve the surgical guide. We will check this box as well. Click yes. And we will have no way how to make any changes of the surgical guide as well. So when it's approved, you could see we have the show drill protocol, which is here, and information about implants here as well. And the very last information here is minimum drill length, which is 23.7 millimeters. This is the information you need to know to use the surgical kit you have, and this protocol is for Hyoson surgical kit. And the same for show surgical report, but since it's approved, you could see it's turned to the green approved status. And we do have exact the same information here, just for documentation. When it's done, we are hitting next to the very final step. The very final step is generating the CAM output, which is the STL files of our surgical guide. And we could click open folder here, and it will open the folder with information. And you could see this is our STL file, the surgical guide. We've just designed it. It is here. Could see it's shown. Yeah. And this is the STL file ready for printer. And close there. Also, we have the surgical report, drilling protocol as PDF files, this additional scan actually not additional, but the same scan, but with additional information, with the implant information. Here we could use in dental system to do any other steps or workflows over the temporaries or over the provisionals to be, or helium abutments, for example, to be designed before surgery. So after that, we've done with this case, and we are just hitting next to come to the main page and proceed with the next case. Thank you for your attention, and see you on the next videos.